Hi, this is Ms. Jimenez. So this video is going to be about evaluating expressions. Okay, so an algebraic expression is a mathematical sentence that uses terms that are separated by addition or subtraction. Those terms are your words. Okay, they can be constants, they can be variables, variables with exponents, or coefficients with variables. Okay, and here's a little example where I separated what a term would be. Notice I didn't put the word term above here where it's operation. Okay. So coefficient is basically an integer. It's going to be in front of the variable and it can be positive or negative. Okay. We have the variable. The variable can be a letter or a symbol that represents an unknown. The operation can be addition or subtraction. They're the ones that separated the term so that you know, hey, this is one from the other. Now, notice that I did not put multiplication or division. That's because multiplication divisions are part of a term. Okay. They're an operation that can happen to the term. For instance, right here, we have 3 and x. That's 3 times x, okay? That's a multiplication symbol that's imaginary right here between them, okay? So that's it. I could have x over 3, and my coefficient would be 1/3, okay? Now, the word constant is what we say for an integer that does not have a variable. That means there's no variable next to it, in front of it, behind it. It's not attached to it, okay? Now, I want to give you an example of what a mathematical sentence is. Like, you're probably thinking about what she's saying. So it's just another way of expressing in words. So I could tell you, all right, I have these paints right here. I have the orange and blue, orange and black, that's 4. Red and fuchsia, so we'll say purple, that's 6. Yellow and green, that's 8. Green and red, that's 10. And then purple and brown, that's 12. So I have 12 paints. Okay. But I would want to tell you a little bit more about those paints, and I would say I have so many of this color. So I have 2 reds. Okay, so that would be 2R because R would be for red. I have 2 greens. Okay, so I would say 2G, G for green. I have 2 oranges. Now I don't want to use the word O, the letter O, because that would be kind of confusing and it would make some people think that you're talking about the number 0. So we're just going to say A. Okay, so 2A. And I have 2 purples. This is a little bit like fuchsia, but it's 2 purple. So we're going to say 2P. All right. So from my sentence, I would write 2R plus 2G plus 2A plus 2P plus B for brown plus L for black plus Y for yellow and plus E for blue. Okay. Now, why did I use plus? Because I'm telling you that altogether, these are all the different colors that I have and how many of each color that I have. Okay. So that would be a mathematical sentence of me telling you I have 12 altogether. I have 2 reds, 2 orange, 2 greens, 2 purples, 1 black, 1 brown, 1 yellow, 1 blue. I just use letters in addition to tell you all that. That's a mathematical sentence. All right, the next thing is that we're going to be doing 2 things to these algebraic expressions. Okay, and instead of saying algebraic expressions, we just kind of shorten it and say expressions. Let me just put all these little paints up. All right, we're going to be evaluate. So evaluating means that you replace the variables with a given value and you perform order of operations to end up with an answer. Simplify, you don't end up with an answer. You end up with a more simpler version of your expression. So you take the expression and you make it into a smaller expression using the distributive property and combining like terms. So you just make it into a smaller one. Okay. Evaluate is when you actually substitute the values and get an actual numerical answer back. Okay. So evaluate, you get an answer back. Simplify, you just get a shorter version of an expression. Okay, we have evaluate. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to substitute, which some people like to say plug in, but we have to make sure that we use the academic appropriate words, okay? Vocabulary. So substitute. So I'm going to substitute the variables with the given values. What variables did they give me? They gave me B1, B2, and H. First of all, I want to see if y'all can remember the actual formula. The formula is for the area because of A. of a trapezoid, okay? So we're going to substitute all the letters, the variables they gave us values for. So here we is. Notice that when I substitute, I use parentheses. I always want to use parentheses because I want to be able to distinguish a positive and a negative, okay? What a positive and a negative number am I plugging in? So if you notice, all of these are positive. I don't have a negative sign in front of any of them. The next thing I want to do is I want to use order of operations, which is parentheses first. My parentheses would be my 3 and my 4. So that gives me 7. I do the operation that's inside. My third thing would be to use order of operations again and to multiply. Remember, multiply does not matter the order that you do it in. Okay, so for me, I would multiply 7 times 6 first because I don't want to deal with decimals. I don't want to do half of 7. Okay, so I get 42, and then I take half of 42 because that's an even, pretty number. It gives me 21. So my answer would be A is equal to 21. All right, let's do another example. So again, first thing we're going to do is we're going to substitute the values. We move this a little bit up here so you can see it. So we substitute the values. Okay. We do order of operations, which is the parentheses first. All right. And then we do multiplication. Okay. So there you go. Notice that I multiplied these two first because I didn't want to do half of this first and then half of it later. I still got a decimal, but it was just a little bit nicer for me to do it that way. Okay. So those are your steps. All right. I want you to practice doing this on your own. Okay. So you can pause this video now and try to do it on your own, and then you can come back and then unpause it and I'd give you the answer. So hopefully you're doing this on your own. Okay, well, here's the answers. Hopefully you got the same answers that I did. All right, let's do some more practice together. So the first thing we did was, notice that I'm trying to use the same colors that we wrote our steps in. Okay. We substitute the value. So they said evaluate n is 5. So everywhere I see the letter n, I'm going to put 5. So that was my first step. My second step was to do order of operations. Well, I don't have any parentheses with the order operation. I only have the parentheses where I substituted. Well, this parentheses right here means that I am multiplying, okay? Imaginary symbol for multiplication would right there would be the parentheses. So I get 20 minus 10. Then my next thing is to do order of operations. Well, the only other operation I have is minus. So I do 20 minus 10, which is 10. All right, we do the next one, substitute. Next step is to multiply because order of operations, multiplication is first, 20. And then last order of operations would be to add, and I get 30. All right, we do this part. We substitute. An order of operations says to do parentheses first. So I do the multiplication symbol right there that we're going to be using dots now. We're not going to be using this little X right here because it's going to get confused with the variable. Order of operation again. Okay, this time it means I have to do exponents first. So I do 12 squared, which is going to be 144. I do order of operations again, 40 times 8, 320. And then order of operations again, my next step would be to add. All right, next order of operations, substitute. Okay, so I put everywhere I saw the N, and here it is, so y'all can say 8 and notice that. All right, so I substitute. Then I multiply the inside because that's parentheses. You do that first. And then we subtract and we get negative 4. Remember, you're doing integer operations right here. 36 minus 40. Okay. I'm taking away 40. I can't really take away 40 because I only have 36. So I have 4 left over that I'm trying to take away. So I have a negative 4. All right, one more example. 2 variables. Simple enough. We're still going to do step 1, which is to substitute. Notice that I changed that little x to a dot because we don't want to be using x's anymore because x's are going to be our variables. Okay, so we don't want to confuse it with a variable. So we do the dot. And I substitute. Next time is order of operations, just means to multiply the two. Next one. plug in, substitute. I know it's a lot of parentheses, but this right here helps me distinguish right there that the 2 is the only thing that's going to be squared, and that the negative 3 is going to be a minus because the plus and the negative make a minus. Okay, so I do 2 squared first, order of operations, and then I do 4 plus the negative 3, which is like 4 minus 3, so I get 1, and I don't know how I got negative 1, but I need to change that. So the answer would be a positive 1. Okay, so I still need to change this right here to a positive 3. Okay, so hopefully y'all can correct that right there, positive 3. Okay, and then this is what you're going to do for your discussion board. Okay, you are going to pick any one of these 4, substitute it, and show the value. Now let me go over here to the Google, here, so you can see right here, evaluating expressions. Okay, right here on the comment, you can insert a file, which would be a picture. Okay, you don't have anything, you can press right here and record and tell me what you did. Tell me what your answer was. If you want to type it in here about what you did, like the steps, but right here, all you're doing is choosing one of these 3, plug in just like we did, and then tell me what the answer is. Like, show the steps that we did together, like we did on all the other examples, and tell me the answer. Okay, you are not going to be able to see anybody else's answer until after you do one. Okay, and you're just doing it. Okay, you're just going to do one, and that's it. You don't have to do all 4, you just choose one. Okay, bye.